لمستشفى الشفاء، ومن مستشفى الشفاء لرفح، ومن رفح لخان يونس. احكي لنا عن تفاصيل هاي الرحلة بسام.
مرحبا، يسعد مساكم. شكرا كثير انكم دائما موجودين بالتغطية ولتعرفوا أكثر شو بصير في غزة. بس كمان التنقل لما ينحكى 4 كلمات ورا بعض كتير سهل، بس لما تفكري في قديش بتحملي شنط، في قديش بتنامي في أماكن غريبة، في قديش بصير كل قلقك تعرفي طريق الحمام، طريق الطوارئ، طريق الانترنت، طريق الشاحن، طريق الكهرباء، في كل مكان، في كل مرة تعرفي انه لا، الموضوع مش ببساطة 4 أسماء من البيت للشفاء لخان يونس لرفح. لا، الموضوع انه احنا نأقلم حالنا على حياة جديدة كل مرة، ونحسب طبعا الضغط النفسي وحمل الأغراض والخوف كل مرة. خلال طريق صلاح الدين أشخاص ذوي إعاقة، أطفال، نساء، كبار بالسن، أبرياء، أطفال، كلهم بيمشوا على طريق طويل لساعات طويلة، حاملين كل إشي بيقدروا عليه. منهم أنا حاملة على بطني شنطة، وعلى ظهري شنطة أثقل منها، ما كنت قادرة أتحرك. ماشيين في طريق طويل مش عارفين إمتى نهايتها، من قدام الدبابات، الأطفال والنساء، إحنا قدام عينينا في رجل أصيب بجلطة وسكتة قلبية وفقد حياته على جانب الطريق من الخوف. فإحنا قاعدين بنحكي عن طريق مش آمن بالمرة. بعدين نمشي لقدام شوي، أنا بعيني شفت جثث وشفت أشلاء بشرية على الطريق متحللة متعفنة، وصرت أداري في عين أختي ما بدي، أنا مش عن جد ما بدي أموت، وأنا مش معروف شو كان في بالي، وأنا مش معروف شو كنت بمر. يعني أنا لو مقدر إلي أموت باليوم 40 من الحرب، ما بدي الناس ما تكون عارفة أنا بشو مريت خلال 40 يوم اللي قبل، لأنه اللي مريت فيه كارثي، واللي مريت فيه لا يمكن أنه الإنسانية تقبل أنه يضل موجود ونضل بنفس الوقت نحكي ونتغنى بكل المثل الإنسانية والقوانين والمواقف الإنسانية. هذا الإجابة الأولى، أنه بدي أكون مسموعة حتى لو متت. الإجابة الثانية أني ببساطة يا زيد لقيت حالي هان. أنا لما أشوف موقف أو أشوف قصة بروح بحكيها. قبل كانت قصصنا حلوة، وكانت يومياتنا بتجنن، وكانت بلدنا يعني تستحق أكثر من أي بلد إنها تتصور، بس هلقيت يومياتنا مش حلوة، وبلدنا بتستحق تتصور بس مش لإنها.
Everyone, this is Bissam. I'm still alive. It's the 10th of November, 10:42 a.m. I've been walking for an hour, 2 hours, and I'm carrying everything that I can to the south. I'm walking. Thousands are walking. Whoever can carry anything will carry it. If you drop anything, you will just leave it and go. Wallahi, I've seen dead bodies. I've seen a leg and a foot of people, and they were killed during the past week to 2 weeks. And I've seen humanitarian pieces. And I've seen humanitarian pieces on the ground. I can't go back to my home until the end of this war. I don't have any place to go. I'm going to the unknown. I'm trying to find anywhere to go, and nowhere to go. Nowhere. We are from the last people that evacuated the north of Gaza. About 350 to 400,000 people are still in the north. They evacuated the schools and the hospitals. I've been displaced for 2 days now. The road around me is
Square in the middle of the bridge, refugee camp in the middle area, got demolished by dozens of the Israeli rockets. As you can see behind me, it's a whole square, a big one. More than 10 houses got demolished by the Israeli.
ايش بصير قاعد؟ ايش هذا؟
The Israeli artillery also keep firing right now. Please someone stop this.
This is catastrophic.
Literally, the lives of these babies depend on electricity and fuel.
Motaz, Bisain, and Pester. These are the names of 3 content creators from Palestine's Gaza, now reporting as citizen journalists amid Israel's relentless bombardment. This is what they were doing before the war. Motaz Azaiza works with United Nations Relief and Works Agency as a photographer. Bisain Auda is an EU Goodwill Ambassador and creator of Hakawatia, named after the ancient Arab tradition of oral storytelling.
رح نحكي فيها عن أقدم المهن في غزة، لأنه اليوم رح نحكي عن مسميات شوارع وأماكن موجودة في قطاع غزة.
I'm still alive. Hi everyone, this is Bisan from Gaza. I'm still alive.
Another famous figure from the recent war is Airalo App, a 22-year-old who works as a trainer at the English Media Club and as a news editor at the Press House.
Yesterday, the Israeli warplanes targeted a church where around 400 civilians were inside of it.
I heard yesterday that my work, my office, I have an office to create content and shoot beautiful. And I heard yesterday that it was bombed.
Motaz rushed to cover a bombing as he realized that 15 members of his family were actually killed.
It is November 13th and I have updates for today. If I miss anything, please comment it. 11,240 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th, and that is just the ones that they could count. There are over 3,000 people still missing and buried underneath rubble. If the fuel shortage continues, this will cause a complete blackout of communications as well as internet. This complete blackout is projected to happen by Thursday. This is very, very worrisome because it becomes a major safety issue since nobody will be able to share what is happening there, which means that Israel could intensify their attacks and killings, and the genocide could reach more horrific heights than what we have already been seeing. There has been $181 million in direct agriculture losses, with 25% of agricultural farms destroyed in Gaza. The way that Israel is dropping bombs and the way that they are destroying the land itself is going to have a major environmental impact. With the types of bombs and the way that Israel is completely destroying the land, this is not just a humanitarian crisis, this is also an environmental crisis. Gaza is home to over 50,000 pregnant women. And just in the next month, 5,500 of those women are going to give birth. This is going to be incredibly difficult because of all of the attacks that have been intensifying on hospitals all across Gaza, the lack of medical supplies, the lack of fuel, the lack of water, clean water, food, basic necessities. Basic necessities are not accessible. Al-Quds and Al-Shifa have both completely run out of fuel. Al-Ahli hospital is now the only hospital in Gaza City. We don't know how long that will be for, though, because they have been attacked prior on October 17th, for example, and a lot of their facilities within the hospital were destroyed. And looking at the IOF's track record, it seems that they are attempting to destroy all hospitals, so it will only be a matter of time before Al-Ahli is next. It should be noted that Al-Quds Hospital is still under intense gunfire, and the people within the hospital are unable to leave, a lot of them having no access to food, water, or anything. The hospital is completely surrounded by Israeli military vehicles. And any kind of movement within or around these hospitals is met with that gunfire. With the upcoming rain about to hit in Gaza, there is going to be a major public health threat. No fuel means no pumping of sewage or waste removal. This is a serious threat to public health. Disease outbreak will become a reality. Gaza was already prone to flooding due to weak infrastructure. With rain expected tomorrow and in the next week, the idea that sewage can't be properly treated and pumped away from homes and makeshift shelters is terrifying. Israel is acting with the same depravity it condemns. We are already starting to see deaths contributed to illnesses, disease that are spreading because of the lack of clean water, because of the conditions in Gaza right now. And it is only going to get worse with the upcoming rain. And as more time passes without access to clean water, without access to basic necessities, we are going to see more and more taken by these types of illnesses and diseases. This is just another reason why a ceasefire is so incredibly vital right now. I also just want to remind you guys that the conditions in South Gaza are not any better than they are in North Gaza and even in Central Gaza. It is bad all over. There is nowhere that is safe. Nowhere. A lot of people were told to evacuate from the north to the south. A lot of people did. A lot of people went back because of how bad the conditions are in southern Gaza. Along with that, a lot of people are fearful of leaving their homes, are fearful of leaving their land because they are afraid they will not be able to return. And this is such an incredibly valid fear because of what Israel has been consistently doing for the past 75 years. Palestine deserves better. The Palestinian people deserve better. The land is being ravaged. It is being destroyed. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years of care went into so much of that land just for it to be completely destroyed by Israeli forces like it's nothing to them. Remember to use your voices to continue to protest, to boycott, to organize. Take the money away from them. Stop giving them the power. We hold the power, okay? We the people hold the power. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
لا إله إلا الله. عمين بتدور؟ عمين بتدور؟
أولاد الأربعة.
لا إله إلا الله.
أولاد الأربعة.
لا إله إلا الله.
يا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. ربنا يعوضك عوض خير.
يا الله يا حبيبي يا الله. ليش سبتني يابا متت؟ ليش يابا؟
سبقت على الجنة يا
ليش سبتني
حبيبي.
يابا متت؟
سبقت على الجنة يا حبيبي.
ليش يابا؟ يابا ايش سويت يابا؟
لا إله إلا الله.
يا
لا إله إلا الله. في الجنة يا حبيبي، في الجنة، في الجنة، في الجنة، في الجنة يا حبيبي، في الجنة سبقوك. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
I'm currently living with my aunt who was born and raised in Gaza, and her sister is still trapped there and can't get out because she has a broken foot and cannot walk the road to the south. She's living in a church, and I wanted to share some news that her sister sent us this morning because I think it's important to realize how animalistic these people are. So this is Ilham Farah. She's a music teacher from Gaza, and she is 75 or 76. Yesterday, Ilham just got very tired of being in the church. They've just been there nonstop, day and night, for the last 30 days, and she just wanted to walk outside. So she walked outside of the church and immediately was sniped by an Israeli sniper, this 75-year-old woman. And he shot her to the ground, but she was still alive. The people from the church wanted to rescue her from the ground because she was still alive, but the Israeli government said that anyone who came out would also be sniped and killed. So they had to watch as their friend from childhood bled to death on the ground. This is the Arabic translation. It doesn't mention the part about her getting sniped, but in the Arabic version it does. I will put that next. Here it is in Arabic from one of my aunt's friends. It has not hit the news yet. We don't know if it's going to be on the news, but I just wanted to share. She is obviously just one of the thousands of Palestinians who have been killed. But I think it's important to note that they don't care if they're Muslim or Christian. She was Christian, and they don't care about age. They don't care about gender. She was a 75-year-old Christian woman from Gaza. She had no affiliation with Hamas. She had no affiliation with the war. All she wanted to do was walk outside. And Palestinians right now in Gaza aren't even allowed to walk outside without the fear of being killed. And I can't even imagine the trauma of the people who had to watch her bleed out slowly to her death. I know it's morbid, but it's the truth, and it's what's happening right now. In Arabic, we say Allah yarhama when someone passes. So Allah yarhama, please pray for us. I don't know what else to say.
This is Gaza before the genocide began. It's a satellite image of Gaza at night showing the amount of light and power being used, released by the UN Satellite Center. This is before the genocide, October 6th. This is after the genocide on October 11th. They're saying that the amount of electricity being used all throughout Gaza has dropped 90%. Y'all, 90% from before the genocide. 2.2 million people living off of 10% the amount of electricity that they had before. And they added that it's still steadily decreasing from 90%. This is a graph showing the power supply of northern Gaza, noting the drop on October 7th. And look how low it reached on October 10th. And the exact same goes for the other districts in Gaza. This is Khan Yunis, same amount of drop on October 7th and beyond. Back to satellite images, note how well lit the Israeli settlements are. The areas outside of Gaza. Just miles from the Gaza border, there are Israeli settlements. People living life like nothing's going on. Just a few miles down. Just a 10-minute drive away, we have Israelis on beaches, clubbing, chilling. And we know this through the social media content that they keep posting. Like this creator who was at a settlement near Gaza saying that she can hear every few seconds the bombs going off in Gaza and thanking the Israeli occupation forces for doing their job, protecting Israel. Alongside other Israeli civilians posting content making fun of the fact that Palestinians don't have electricity because Israel cut it off. The mere fact that Israel has control over Gaza's electricity should tell you something about the situation. This is not about a country versus a country. This is an occupier, a colonizer, having control over a group of people, so much so that when they want to attack them, they can cut off all electricity, all water, all resources from entering.
Here's your daily recap of everything that's happened in Gaza so far. The death toll as of 2:51 a.m. is at 11,180. Over 2,000 people are still missing under the rubble. 3 major hospitals in the north, Al-Shifa, Al-Quds, and Kamal Radan, have lost power and are unable to operate. Netanyahu said that he opposes the Palestinian Authority to still govern Palestine after this war, even though it is a genocide. Many people who have connections to Al-Shifa Hospital are giving updates from people who are still there. It is just devastating. Tanya Haj Hassan, who is a pediatric intensive care doctor, is giving updates about what's happening, and it is dire. Patients are dying by the hour. Doctors are literally using the most basic of things to treat patients. This one nurse is fanning the burns of one of her child patients that she's treating. She's using pieces of cardboard to fan and treat burn patients. Meanwhile, you have Israel now using helicopters to shoot a civilian. The UN released numbers saying that the death toll of Palestinians has majority been children, women, and elderly at about 74%. This flew under the radar last week. 18 agencies and NGO heads of the UN made a joint statement asking for a ceasefire. The American Postal Workers Union had put out a statement to government officials demanding for a ceasefire, saying that they do not want to see any more of their tax dollars be used for. The Hearst Magazine Media Union has come together to call out Hearst for essentially censoring their writers as well as their employees. This is after they implemented a new policy that will restrict political speech on their employees' social media accounts.
This video is for everyone who's about to give up, who's about to stop posting about Palestine, and who's about to, get used to the pictures and the massacres we're seeing from Gaza. We Palestinians from Gaza, inside and outside and everywhere, we're asking you to keep posting, to keep protesting, to keep sharing, to keep talking about us. We're asking you to do this because we need you to do this. Right now, people, it's been more than a month, people are commenting, I feel helpless, nothing is working, but we need you to keep doing this. This is what Israel wants. They want to make us all fatigued and stop posting. They want the world to stop caring about what's happening in Palestine and get used to it, but the genocide is still continuing. Thousands of civilians have been killed, including children and women, thousands of them, and there are gonna be more thousands of them if we don't demand a ceasefire right now. Keep writing to your representatives, keep calling them, keep going on the streets, keep doing what you're doing. We need you. This is not the time you stop. We are tired, we are exhausted, we are still doing our job. Please, this is the least you could do. We need you to keep doing it, keep boycotting. Everything matters, every single action matters, and this is how we're gonna have a free Palestine. Guys, please, don't stop now.
You see that picture there? That's a lot of leaders. The whole crew was together at the Joint Arabic-Islamic Summit on Saturday, in which those leaders demanded an end to military operations in Gaza. Not a humanitarian pause, not a ceasefire, an end. For the US, it's damning. Some of their best friends and their enemies got together in one big room and denounced Israel, and by proxy the US. The US will be looking on and thinking, what is going on? They're seeing the leaders of Iran, talking to the leaders of Turkey, talking to the leader of Qatar, talking to the leader of Syria, and they're all shaking hands and agreeing, saying, yeah, US, what are they talking about? But it didn't just stop there. It wasn't simply a case of, hey guys, please stop. The summit also called for the International Criminal Court to investigate war crimes and crimes against humanity that Israel is committing. That's like an actual final communique. That's something they put out there. The narrative that the IDF have been putting out there over the last few weeks was just being tackled again and again at this summit. The President of Indonesia said that the Indonesian hospital in North Gaza continues to be the target of Israeli attacks and has run out of fuel. That contradicts the narrative that Israel is not targeting hospitals. The summit had a very wild mix of different opinions. If you think about European countries and America, they class Hamas as a terrorist organization. Meanwhile, at this summit, Erdogan was referring to Hamas as freedom fighters, and Iran's leader, he said, we kissed the hands of Hamas. The summit was not good news for Israel, but diplomatically, it was not good news for America either.
Can someone please explain to me why the IOF soldiers are so comfortable in northern Gaza when they haven't found a single hostage? This is their way of taunting Palestinians by bombing their homes, killing them, expelling them from their homes, spray painting it, and then putting their furniture outside and trying to show them that they've made themselves comfortable. They have bombed many schools in Gaza. They have killed many civilians, a lot of them being children, and now they're holding their meetings inside these schools. You can't tell me that's not sick. Mainstream media will never show you this. Happily dancing. But on a positive note, these soldiers are there to find hostages. It's not at all about conquering, expelling, and settling, right?
חודש האור, אנחנו פה מוסיפים אור אחרי השבת השחורה שהייתה לעם ישראל. גדוד 9208 בפיקודו של ישראל בן פזי לא יעצור, ימשיך עד שנשלים את המשימה שקיבלנו. כובשים, מגרשים ומתיישבים. כובשים ומגרשים ומתיישבים. שמעת ביבי? כובשים ומגרשים ומתיישבים.
I've noticed that Israel is doing something very dangerous psychologically to people that are watching what's happening in Gaza. In the beginning of the genocide, Israel bombed the Baptist hospital, right? That bombing shocked us for days, but because there was no consequences, it paved the way, certainly, for more hospital bombings to happen, which we're seeing in the past few days at Al-Shifa, Indonesia, and all these hospitals. And then when the Jabalia refugee camp was bombed, I went on Google Trends that day just by chance to see like what keywords people are using when they're looking for Gaza, and like the first 5 were Jabalia, or like Jabalia refugee camp. It wasn't even Gaza, it wasn't Israel, it was nothing like that. And I was like, interesting. Like, people are searching for Jabalia. Like, that means like we're getting somewhere, right? Like, it's crazy that, you know, people are that specific and know that a refugee camp was bombed in Gaza. But then, like, following that bombing, because there was no consequence, there was a lot of other refugee camp bombings. And, you know, in Nusayrat, Brej, and then today, just now, they bombed a whole square at Jabalia refugee camp. And today's bombing is not different from the one that was a few weeks ago, which was all over Google. So I feel like Israel is creating this shock factor where they do something shocking, like bomb a refugee camp, bomb a hospital. Nothing happens, no consequences. There's an uproar for a day or two. And then they proceed to do the same thing over and over again. But it doesn't get coverage and it doesn't lead people to insanity, because at that point, it's like people have normalized a hospital or refugee camp being bombed. It's not shocking anymore. And because their crimes keep piling up, like all these atrocious things are piling up, it's like becoming hard for people to designate their feelings towards like one atrocity and not the other. Like, I feel like every hour I'm mourning something else, and then because they do something worse, that kind of gets like shoved at the back of my head, and I'm mourning like the thing that's happening in the present. And I don't know, it's a very like strange feeling, but keep your eyes on what's happening in all the refugee camps in Gaza, in all the hospitals.
Today's November 13th, and the update from Gaza is that whatever horrific thing that you heard last, something more horrific has definitely already happened. When you read the Palestinian death tolls, do you just skim over it and move along? If so, right now, I need you to just sit here with it, just for a moment. 11,180 individual Palestinian human beings. There are 120 wounded child with no surviving family currently at Shifa Hospital. These are the ones without even distant relatives surviving. They invented a term for children with no surviving families. There is a really long list of horrors. That is just one of them. We are paying the Israeli military to be demons. The other week I learned that some of the Palestinian families that have been completely wiped from the face of the planet in Gaza by Israel actually date back to biblical times. So that's thousands of years of a lineage completely erased, never to exist again. They do the same thing to our olive trees. Since 1967, Israel uprooted over 800,000 olive trees. And that's not counting fruit trees, all native plants replaced with invasive species, causing irreparable damage to the land. It's really important to understand the intent behind this violence. They want to uproot us completely, never to exist again. It's not going to happen, but this is something everybody needs to know. So there can literally never be any debate ever again that this force of evil should be allowed to exist anymore. And the same goes for the United States, because we are paying for all this. I unfortunately can't find the exact number of complete families that no longer exist, but 3 weeks in, it was 825 families. This was October 29th. Today's November 14th.
Situation in Gaza, this genocide and this brutal occupation for over 75 years. Yes. We are Jewish people, true to the Torah. We are here today because we are more pain than all this happening in our name, in the name of my religion. They're misquoting our Torah in order to justify their crimes. We as Jewish people, we are here to join the outcry for Palestine. We condemn this brutal occupation for over 75 years and this rivers of bloodshed. But the world should know that Zionism and Judaism is not the same thing. Zionism is a political movement, ethnic cleansing. And Judaism is a religion to serve God. All what 1948 is totally criminal and it's forbidden according to the Jewish religion. Even if it was an empty land, we believe that God put us in exile, especially when they're killing and stealing for so many years. We have lived for hundreds of years in beautiful peace with our Palestinian neighbors. Yes. We didn't need any human rights groups to watch us. It was a beautiful peace. What happened in 1948? What happened before 1948? Since Zionism came in, they break this beautiful peace, and we believe that we can still live in peace. It's this brutal occupation which is responsible for these rivers of bloodshed, these endless rivers of bloodshed. Nobody sees any solution for this. The only solution will be the total dismantlement of the state of Israel. Our rabbis told us before Zionism that Zionism will be a disaster for humanity. And this is what I see today. These endless rivers of bloodshed. It's an ocean of blood. How can this be? How can you be silent? It's important to mention that a lot of Jews around the world standing up in solidarity with Palestine, even in Palestine. In Jerusalem, I showed them 2 weeks ago. There is a video going around. The police break in a few synagogues. They arrested my Jewish brothers and sisters. Why? Because they fly the Palestinian flag in my showroom in Jerusalem. We are pleading to the world leaders. They should recognize the terrible mistake by creating the state of Israel. We pray and we hope for the peaceful dismantlement of the state of Israel. We hope this should be soon in our days. Judaism, yes. Zionism, no. The state, yes. Zionism, no. The state of Israel must go. State of Israel must go. Judaism, yes. Zionism, no. The state of Israel must go. Judaism, yes. Zionism, no. The state of Israel must go. Thank you.
The American Medical Association has turned its back on the doctors and nurses in Gaza. Now, if you know anything about the AMA, you know that they have a long-standing and well-documented history of racism and not prioritizing or even valuing Black and brown lives. Yesterday, we saw the white supremacy that this organization was founded in front and center. Yesterday, the American Medical Association delegates met in Washington, D.C. It is a leadership meeting for people within the organization. At that meeting, 135 members of the Minority Affairs Committee put forward a resolution to support a ceasefire in Gaza. A ceasefire. Mind you, in the last 48 hours, over 6 hospitals have been bombed, shot, and infiltrated by IDF military members in Gaza. There have been nurses killed. There was a missile that literally functions as a meat grinder dropped in the courtyard of Al-Shifa Hospital. And the American Medical Association turned their fucking backs on them. The young Middle Eastern trainee who put forward that resolution was silenced and then told that a resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza to protect the hospitals, the nurses and doctors and patients in Gaza did not meet the policy requirements, the 3 policy requirements set forward by the AMA. Those policy requirements are these 3 things: advocacy,
ethical considerations and urgency. I want you to tag the American Medical Association in this video. I need them to tell me plainly and quickly how a ceasefire in Gaza, a place in which 6 hospitals have been bombed in the last 48 hours, is not urgent. How is that not advocacy? And how is that not ethical? Say it fucking plainly. You don't value brown lives. You're still a racist organization. And any attempt that you have made to show otherwise was you trying to save face. Because clearly, brown lives do not matter to you. Protecting doctors and nurses does not matter to you. And silencing a Middle Eastern trainee for even suggesting that you should talk about it is plain racism. The American Medical Association is on Facebook, is on Instagram, is on TikTok. They have a phone number. They have emails. I truly think they should hear from us and how we feel about this decision. As healthcare workers, as advocates, I reject any notion that calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, the most densely populated piece of land on the planet, where half the population is under 15 years old, where a death toll has now reached 12,000 people, where there are tanks firing on hospitals. I reject that that is not advocacy. I reject that that is not urgent. And I reject that that is not an ethical consideration. Fucking shame on you. Shame on the American Medical Association. And thank you for proving that you are just as racist as you have always fucking been.
Imagine being disabled in Gaza right now. Imagine being deaf in Gaza right now. How would you protect your life? How would you protect your loved ones? How to avoid danger in dangerous situation when you are commuting in case of bombing around you all day long. Now imagine a family of a deaf mother and a deaf father. How would they protect their kids? 3 of them. This is Muhammad, the eldest of his siblings. His mother is Wala, she's deaf. His father is Ahmed, who's also deaf. In this interview, they were asked what are their biggest fears. I'm gonna let you guys watch the interview, but Ahmed, the father, says something that really resonated with me. He said that his biggest fear that he would not be able to help his family. That during his sleep, any of his kids could die without him knowing, without him hearing their voices. This interview really opened my mind into a different perspective, and I really highly recommend that you guys watch it.
كنا قاعدين مبسوطين بعدين فجأة كانوا يقصفوا اسمه ابوي احمد وامي ولاء وانا محمد اتصلوا على عائلتي نشرد وين نشرد كنا في الشوارع بعدين نجري وهم ام وابوي صوم ما ينفعش حدا يتفرج لازم كنا مع بعض في حرب بخلصش الحين صعب طيارات بقصفوا احنا صمت فجأة يخفنا ما فيش حد ساعدنا واحنا بنسمعوش ابوي شردنا جينا المستشفى عشان ولاد الصغار بس يخافوا من الصغار عادي نموت اما ابوي عادي بس يخافوا من الصغار فيش حد يساعدنا بضحك كتير مش عارف ينام راس بيجع هو صم تعبان صم صعب يدير باله مع اولاد يفكر انه يموت هيك هو عيان بالمستشفى عيان لوز وبطنه بيجعوا بس كل يوم بيصيحني في الليل ما نامش وين يشوف السخن ما يحطوا مي قلت يزعل لا خافش
He's had it worse.
borders, just about everywhere. So where's their theocratic ethno-state? Who are we going to kick off their land at gunpoint to give Romanis a homeland?
You know, as a Romani person, I often hear from both sides of the political spectrum that us Romani people need a homeland. On one side, we have, y'all are indigenous to South Asia, you don't belong here. On the other, y'all are indigenous to South Asia, you don't belong here. Both are equally harmful. And this idea comes from the fact that yes, Romani people, we come from South Asia. Our ancestors were indigenous to the Indian subcontinent and entered Europe about 700 years ago. Since then, we have been continuously persecuted, oppressed, enslaved, genocided, you name it, up until this very day. That's why we say for us it continues. Romani people are still denied human rights almost everywhere we go. There's nowhere that's safe for Romani people. So my question is, why should we have to leave our homes in order to get basic human rights? And conversely, why do we have to kick people out of their homes in order to make a homeland for us? Why does our liberation have to come at the expense of somebody else? If we look back into history, around the same time Zionism was gaining popularity, people were encouraging a homeland movement for Romani people. Who are those people? European colonial powers. We wanted anything to get us out of Europe and make it seem like it was our choice. We had our suitcases already packed at the door and everything. Some Romani leaders fell for it and started strongly advocating for our own theocratic ethno-state. Thankfully, our community rejected them and called them traitors. Because while yes, in a perfect world, Romani people having our own country would solve so many problems. But we don't live in a perfect world. There's no uninhabited land out there. Our liberation cannot come at the expense of indigenous peoples. People always ask me, you're Romani, why aren't you a fan of Zionism? Especially after everything that Jews and Romani people have gone through, even together. I agree, Jews and Romani people have had it terrible and continue to have it terrible. If there's anybody that understands that, it's a Romani person. But as a Romani person, I would never support teaming up with the European colonial power to carve out our own theocratic ethno-state in South Asia, displacing 750,000 indigenous peoples from their homeland. Especially when Romani people, we already have a homeland. Our Romanistan, our Romani homeland is wherever we live. Our ancestors lived 1,000 years ago should not decide where we're allowed to live. I know this is not me saying everybody whose family didn't live there before 1940 should go back. It's actually the opposite, that we should be striving for a multicultural society, one where your ethnic, national, or religious origin shouldn't determine where you're allowed to live, and one that doesn't come at the expense of indigenous people that were already living there. Romani people should not have to leave our homes to have our rights respected. We should be able to live in a multicultural society, and that's what we should be striving for, not an ethno-state.
So this is just some examples about how these people changed their name to sound more native to their faith and to the Middle East. Yet Ehud Barak, it was Ehud Brog. Ariel Sharon, it was Ariel Scheinaman. Benjamin Netanyahu, Benjamin Milchalski. That's his real name. Never. Hashtag Benjamin Netanyahu again. Call him by his real name. His European name. Call him by his European name. Looks like the only land he's got the right to defend is Russia. He needs to go fight for Russia because he's got no business being in the Middle East. Yeah, he looks like a depressed vampire right now. He doesn't look like this anymore. And this guy looks like a pug.
Today we're making za'atar manakish, and we're making it with khubz taboon, which is a Palestinian flatbread. And this recipe was taught to me by my beautiful Palestinian mother, and as my mother has passed this recipe down to me, I want to share it with all of you to continue to keep a part of our heritage alive. In this very moment, Israel is displacing 1.2 million Palestinians in northern Gaza, an undeniable act of ethnic cleansing. They pressured everyone in the north to evacuate, claiming safety in the south, yet this statement was a blatant lie. A boy from Gaza shared a heart-wrenching video with me via DM. His friend that lives in the south was in his home when it was obliterated by an Israeli airstrike. Not a single member of his family received a warning. Only he and his 7-year-old baby sister survived. The rest of his family became martyrs. The same tragedy echoes across the entire Gaza Strip. For 75 years, they've inflicted torment upon Palestinians, extinguishing lives, committing heinous acts of violence. 75 years, they've obliterated generations and brought immense pain to our precious land and to our people. They continue to leave a trail of destruction. 7.5 decades. This did not start on October 7th. So as I'm sharing these recipes with you, I urge you to remember the hands of the grandmothers that passed down these recipes, the grandmothers that are no longer with us, the grandmothers in Gaza that are currently going through the most horrible, I don't have any words to truly describe what they're experiencing because I cannot even fathom it. We don't feel pain individually. Everyone back home is hurting for each other more than they're hurting for themselves. They are the strongest people that I've ever seen and have ever heard of, and I'm so incredibly proud to be Palestinian. As I post these recipes, I hope that you guys hold them close to your heart, and I hope that they're able to bring you some type of comfort.
Are we talking about how powerless we are, or are we talking about how the machine doesn't run unless we run it? We're out here begging them to stop, begging them to ceasefire. They should be begging us to come back to work. They don't believe us that we really, really mean it because we aren't showing it. If your stove keeps catching fire and killing people and you want it to stop, you turn it off.
I don't have nothing profound to say to y'all tonight. I'm just here to tell y'all I'm not tired. Because boycott fatigue? That sounds real similar to the allyship fatigue y'all said y'all had in 2020. Remember? When y'all could last 90 days fighting for racial justice. But it's cool. It's cool. We didn't learn nothing. I am more than happy to review. But later. Because I just wanted some of y'all to know that for some of us, this is just a warm-up. I'm not tired at all. In fact, it fuels me. Boycotts fuel me. Knowing that these three companies have less money to contribute to genocide truly has given me the energy to get out of bed. And my taxes are next because I'm a Gemini. I have held grudges for much less. I have not listened to a Chris Brown song all the way through since 2011. I still will boo a DJ at the club if I even think I hear R. Kelly being mixed into the songs. Oh, boycotting is one of my favorite political actions. Love it. I love drinking tea instead of coffee in the morning. Oh, it's been fun. I had so much fun not buying them seasonal coffees. Oh, it was great. It was a time. Tomorrow, I'm going to make me some fish. I'm going to fry me some fish. And maybe some home fries. It's going to be good fried food. Ooh, it's going to be good. I love superheroes. I love superhero movies. But am I going to go see that Marvel? No, I am not. And I don't even know if that's part of it. I don't know if that's part of them. But I'm not going to go look at it just in case. I ain't going to go look at that. I'm not going. And you know what I enjoy the most? Educating people about why I'm not doing any of those things. Striking up a discussion at the craft store with the person behind me who asked me why I'm buying so many tumblers. Oh, so I can decorate my own for my family and friends because we're not buying them holiday joints this year. We're not. Keep going. Keep going. They ain't tired of bombing. I'm not tired of boycotting. Period.
هاي هاي امشي هاي هاي امشي روحي امشي امشي امشي
السلام عليكم السلام عليكم السلام عليكم السلام عليكم. How are you? This means our watches need you coming to support us.
To come to visit and to help only. This order was given to Jerusalem.
No, because that Christian Ziobot logic has got me all the way fucked up. All the way! It has me so shook. You're trying to tell me that the grand master plan, the purpose of everything in your life is to bring back your guy, right? Y'all want Jesus, alayhi salam, to come back, yes? And y'all are very obviously aware that your homeboy is Palestinian, right? Like all that talk of Nazareth and Bethlehem, that is clear-cut Palestinian. Those are Palestinian cities. So let me get this straight. Y'all are actively, proudly calling for the death of the Palestinians. You are supporting the genocide of Palestinians, the people, your man's people, so that y'all can push this world into the next phase of your grand plan, which is to put every single Jew from around the world into Israel, just for them to die, so that your man will come back to you? And exactly how does that conversation go in your head? Let's engage with this hypothetical scenario where your man's comes back, returns. Y'all are just gonna look him in the eyes and say we actively called for the genocide of your own people so that we could see you again? Oh my God! That conversation goes well in your head? You don't think that the dude who commanded you to love thy neighbor would look at you like you're a fucking maniac? Bro, you fascinate me. You terrify me, but you fascinate me.
Don't forget that it's not just about free Palestine, but the Palestine that's freeing us along the way.